Hello, everybody. Welcome. I want to talk today about this important topic. As you can see from the title, boss or husband, who cares about you? You know, the traditional ideas of marriage have pretty much gone these days for the most part. Feminism has taken over the world and taken over marriages, and I believe this is one of the main reasons why marriages are failing today and people are not wanting even to get married because the traditional idea of marriage is no longer being followed. Well, I saw this clip and I was like, bam, this lady has it correct. She understands. Now, there are certain cultures around the world that still uphold the traditional idea of the values of the roles of marriage. And I could tell you everything this, even though this lady's a Muslim, everything she said is biblically correct and it just makes sense. And if you're watching this as a woman and you have an issue with something she's saying, you've most likely been indoctrinated by uh, the feminism seed that's in the world today, or perhaps you've been damaged or by some sort of man not fulfilling his role in the past. And I'm here to say, do not let a certain type of man take you away from the blessed type of relationship and marriage you could have. What this lady's saying is scriptural, it's correct, and it's important for us to understand. You know, men and women have the roles that our creator gave us. And this video is amazing because this woman who's a feminist uh, was forced to take on the role of, well, I'll play the video and you can see this for yourself. Just, I love this video. Here we go.
Always worked ever since I was 16. And when I got married at 29, I was still working, then had the baby. I can honestly say maternity leave, those 2 years were the best years of my life because I was a feminist. You know, I was very for girls, do your thing, get your own money. We don't need a man sort of kind of mentality. And then slowly but surely, I started to see the hard work that he was doing. And even though I'm working from home and I've still got the child, he was still working, and me looking after her and seeing her first words and him coming home to a nice clean house with food, unsi, you know, the fragrance, putting that on and just having that lovely evening, it made my heart swell. And I started to do a little bit more research into like traditional female and male roles. I'm not seeing all of this around me. In fact, the traditional female role is pushed down and it's sort of ridiculed and people look down on it. And that's not really the case because where I'm going to work, I'm putting my hard work into this company. Some fat cat at the top of the company is getting all the benefit. But when I'm at home, I'm seeing the benefit in my husband and my children and my home. And to me as well. Oh my God, I loved it. I've always.
So this is so true about the roles of males and females, and this is what I try to talk about. Now, I acknowledge there's a time in our society today where money is just absolutely crazy, inflation is crazy, and both people in the house uh, are working, so it creates a problem. But what I'm saying here is it's not the role of a woman in a marriage to go to another job and work. Her role, or at least first, her first role should be in the house, taking care of the things of the house. And the man's job is to provide. Now, of course, the question comes up, well, what if a man can't provide? Then, you know, it's okay for the woman to work. And really, it's not about a matter of providing or not providing. It's a matter of roles. It's a matter of roles. And when you get out of your roles, it puts your relationship in jeopardy. When you get out of roles, it makes it more difficult to get the outcome that our Creator wanted for these roles. And this woman saw uh, the hard way after being a feminist for years and trying to put it on old shoulders the benefit and the beauty of following the traditional roles. And so this is what I try to let people know. And, you know, some people believe that it's impossible to survive without two incomes in a two income family. And in some cases, that might be the case. But if you want to have a successful marriage, you have to look at the ideas of roles. And it's sad to say, but when, and this is why many people, even biblical people, are having issues in their marriages because they're not following the biblical roles. I believe our Creator prepares us uh, for marriage and for life. And when a man and a woman are meeting and getting together, Uh, they should be in a situation where they could fulfill the traditional roles that are found in Scripture. And if they don't want to, well, then right off the bat, you have a possible issue. Now, if my wife was a doctor and made $1 million a year, or a lawyer and made $1 million a year, why should I go to work? Why can't I stay home with the kids if she's put herself in this position to do this? And so on the outside, it might seem like she's more successful from a monetary standpoint than I am. But there's still something to say for the biblical roles and the biblical design that our creator has. And my concern isn't as much as people trying to survive, even if that means we have to do two income households and so on. My concern is the traditional roles that people put down and they don't acknowledge. So if a woman or a wife does have to take on a job to pay the bills or support the situation, so be it. But the value and the understanding of, I have to do this right now, but this is the way I want it to be. And this is the goal of my husband and I. We're working towards the traditional model that our Creator sets in place of how a marriage should be. Not, well, I'm a feminist and I'm going to take over and I'm going to do all these different things and this is the way it's going to be. It's not about just the application about what's being done. It's the goal behind it. What's your goal when you get married or when you're in a relationship? And your goal needs to be the traditional roles of men and women. And it might not be the perfect situation in your life right now where that is taking place. The point is the understanding of the value of that and the desire to do that. That's the goal and the point of understanding what this lady is saying. So, some people might be in a two-income household where they're okay and they're fine with it, but they shouldn't be fine with it, because if you're getting outside the plan of our Creator for, I won't even say traditional roles, I'll say the biblical roles, the enemy is going to slip in there somehow, some way. But if you're sticking to the goals that our Creator had for us, and you have that as your desire, I believe He will open up a way to make that happen. And I believe the desire of this woman, or the understanding that this woman came to, a former feminist who worked her whole life to now see the traditional value of a hardworking man and a housekeeping wife, is it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful video and a testimonial, and it's something I believe people should have a desire as a goal, not just looking at the world's ways of, hey, we're going to make more money if we have a two-income house. Let's put our kid in daycare and both work, or let the man stay home and the woman work. No, I think we need to look at the desire and the consequences of getting out of those traditional roles. And for those of you that are out there that are struggling and need a two-income household or can't fulfill the traditional roles in this meantime, again, pray about it, but you first have to get the understanding of it. Okay, we're doing this, but it's not our ideal. We're doing this, it's not something we want to do. But until we figure out a situation, which we're trying to do, we're doing this now, but it's not our ultimate goal. And that's where it should be. So I'm not telling anyone to quit their jobs immediately and do these things. I'm saying your goal and idea should be, how can we make this happen? It's the same thing, for example, with the idea of, let's say, homeschooling. You might be in a situation where you believe in homeschooling, you believe it's right, and that's your ultimate goal, but for circumstance in your life, it's not feasible at this time. So be it. But your desire to homeschool should never go away, and I believe if your desire is strong enough, you will find a way to make it happen. So it's the same thing with the traditional roles and the two-income families of husband and wife. It might not be feasible at this time, but your desire should be to ultimately fulfill those roles. And I believe when that happens, it's keeping the enemy out of your marriage. Because when you get out of the roles of the biblical model of marriage, you are opening up the door to the enemy. And there were many women in scriptures that had value, and they brought value to the family monetary wise. The Proverbs 31 woman did that, but she didn't forgo her traditional or her biblical role as a wife to do that. So, you know, in her case, she was able to do both. She was able to work at home, but her first priority would be her husband and her children would be her first priority. Her job and her boss would be not the first priority. And that's what this woman is showing. So my question to you is, especially those of you that are struggling in your marriage, to ladies and men out there, who is the woman of the marriage being obedient to? Her boss at work or her husband at home? And in her estimate, who's more important to her? Who has more value to her? So, and as for men, you need to pray about this and think about this as well. You know, and so this is a great video, great testimonial. So I wanted to share it, and I pray for those of you that you can get back to the biblical roles, and the enemy will stay out of all marriages everywhere.